Now today we'll be dealing with how to solve the quadratic equation using what we call the factorization method. Now we're told to solve x squared minus 5x plus 4 equals to 0. Now it implies that you are told to factorize x squared minus 5x plus 4 equals to 0, and peradventure after factorizing, so you then get the value for x as in each case. Now don't forget that a quadratic equation has two solutions. So because the highest power of the unknown here is 2, so you expect it to have what? Two solutions. Now using factorization method to solve this quadratic equation, the first step is to use the expression carrying the square to multiply the what? The constant value without x. So that will give us x squared times plus 4. So that will give us plus 4x squared. Now after doing that, so the second step is now to look for two factors such that when you multiply, it will give us plus 4x squared with each terms carrying the what? Carrying x. When you add, it will give us minus 5x. Now there's so many things that when is that you multiply, you get 4x squared. So one can be 2x and 2x. So when you multiply the two terms together, it will give us 4x squared. Now another one can be 4x and x. So when you multiply that together, it will give us what? 4x squared. So I guess these are the two expressions such that when you multiply together, it will give us what? It will give us 4x squared. Now let's go. So we are told that what? If it's that you multiply, it will give us 4x squared. Now we know that when you multiply 4x and x, with each sign what? With each expression having a positive sign, now that will give us 4x squared. Now, but don't forget that when is that you also add the two terms together, it will give us what? It will give us minus 5x. And when is that you add plus 4x and x together, that will give us minus 5x. So you know the direct thing to do is just to what? Is just to remove the negative sign and what? And replace it with the positive sign. So invariably, that will give us what? Minus 4x and minus x. So that means we don't need to bother ourselves what? With the first term here. Because we already established the fact that what? Multiplying and adding minus 4x and minus x together will give us what? Plus 4x squared and minus 5x. Now that is our step 2. Now the next thing to do is now to remove this minus 5 and replace it with the factors. So that means we have the quadratic expression to be equal to x squared minus 4x minus x plus 4 is equal to 0. Now the next step after this is to factorize by HCF. So you pair and you factorize by HCF. Now the HCF of x squared and 4x is x. You bring that out, x. So after bringing that out, we have what? X remaining for x squared minus 4x. So we've already put the minus sign here for 4x. That means we have what? 4 left after factorizing x. Now for minus x and plus 4. Now there is no reasonable there is no direct HCF. So that means anyone that does not have a direct HCF, so we use 1 as the HCF. Now you go with the sign that we have here, which is a negative sign. So you put that outside, minus. So for the fact that you don't have a reasonable HCF, you put 1 outside into brackets. So now you now write out each term. Now you write this x because 1 times x will give us x. So don't forget negative sign is already outside. And don't forget that this negative sign affects what we have in the bracket. Now you have to think, what sign are we to put here such that when you use to multiply the negative sign to give us a positive sign? That would be negative. So you have minus, and factorizing 1 from 4 will give what? 4 is equal to 0. Now in this case, now we have what we call what? A common bracket. So you bring the common bracket out, x minus 4. Now after bringing the common bracket out for this one, which is x minus 4, for here we are left with what? We are left with x. So for this one, you brought out x minus 4. For here we are left with what? Minus 1 is equal to 0. So that means we have it as x minus 4, x minus 1 is equal to 0. Now if you have x minus 4 is equal to 0, so that means our x will be equal to what? Will be equal to 4. Now if you have x minus 1 is equal to 0, so that means in that case now our x is equal to 1. So that means invariably the solution to solving the quadratic expression x squared minus 5x plus 4 will give us x is equal to 4 and x is equal to 1. So that is the solution to the quadratic equation.